Hi everyone, this is Nibiru watcher, watching the sunrise, and now this object is now at the 7 o'clock position. I'm going to catch it on time-lapse and regular video. Let's zoom in a little further on this. See it behind the trees, the lens flare over here. Let's zoom in on that. See, behind the trees. Oh my gosh, people. Let's get right with God. I will show wonders in the heavens and in the earth. Are there spots on this thing? I'm not sure. The time-lapse can't zoom in on it. Let's go back to time-lapse. Hi everyone, this is Nibiru watcher, observing this second object. See the trees in the background. I've been catching this on time-lapse. See if I can see the trees blowing in the background. What is that object? Is it Nibiru or its moon? And that black object, maybe this, it couldn't be Nibiru. It's moving too fast around the sun. Or is it? Wow. Let's see that black object inside. There's almost the center of this second object. Let me zoom out a little bit. Now I'm going to leave it just like that, actually. So I'm going to move the camera out a little bit. You can see the lens flare there. But this, zoom out. See the lens flare. I'm going to stop talking about the stupid lens flare. Let's zoom in on this one object. 12 times optical zoom plus digital zoom. Appears to be moving closer to the sun and rotating definitely counterclockwise. It should be tracking it all throughout the day. So surprised that they're letting us see this with no chemtrails this time. Clearly you can see the pine needles in front of this object. If you say lens flare, well, I've already left my piece with that. See if I can zoom in just a hair better. I don't know if I can zoom in any better. I'll leave it alone. Let's put a welder's filter in front of it. See what it looks like. Does seem to be too smooth of a round object to be a sun. It looked like Nemesis at first when it was low on the horizon, but since it's been following up with the sun, it's fast, almost as fast as the sun is moving. Actually, it must be moving faster. Let me zoom back out a little bit. You can see our lens flare again here. Notice how the lens flare is coming from this object, almost like in my other videos. I wonder what that looks like as the sun shines through this object onto the earth. Okay, I'm going to go back to time-lapse.
Bigger than the Earth on the outer reaches of the solar system.
No.
Planet 9 is thought to be similar to Uranus and Neptune, but it has not yet been seen directly. Well, these are the 8 planets that we know Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus and Neptune. For 76 years, Pluto was also considered to be a planet, but in 2006 it was controversially reclassified as a dwarf planet. But now scientists have discovered evidence of a hidden planet that is 10 times bigger than Earth in the outer reaches of the solar system. This new 9th planet is 60 billion miles away from the Sun. That's 20 times further than Neptune.
They're
It's
telling
so
lies.
far that it takes around 3.5 days for the Sun's light to reach it. Because of its far-flung location, experts think Planet 9 could take up to 20,000 years to make a single journey around
Lies.
the Sun.
Takes
To
3,600
we
years.
speak now to the astrophysicist Dr. David Brown, who's at the University of Warwick. He joins us now live from Coventry. A very good afternoon to you. How excited are you by this suggestion of a Planet 9?
Good afternoon. I'm cautiously excited by this, actually. If this is indeed another planet in the solar system, it's a very, very important discovery, a very big discovery, and it could change.
They've known for years, the liars.
Of our solar system and where we place it compared to the other systems of planets that we know of out in the galaxy.
Well, let's explore that a little bit more then, because when you do find something quite as big as this knocking around in your solar system, I guess it does raise questions about what else we don't know about. So what do you think the implications would be if this was definitively proved to be there?
I think that it's going to be very hard to find it and definitively prove its existence. There is an ongoing search, certainly. I'm not sure what it would say about other bodies in the solar system. As you move further away from the Sun, it becomes much harder to find these objects, even something as big as this possible planet. And so finding anything further out that's going to be this big again, I think would be, with current technology, almost impossible. But certainly this opens up the possibility that there are other planets in the system that we haven't found yet.
And you talk about the difficulty of establishing whether or not it definitively is there, but how do we know what we do know? How do you find a planet like this?
Sure. It comes back to actually the way that Neptune was found. So Neptune was discovered by looking at the orbit of Uranus and then looking at how that was slightly different compared to what we expected based on what we knew about gravity. So Pluto is the edge of what's called the Kuiper Belt. It's a group of small objects at the far edges of the solar system, and there's a group of around 6 of these objects that have very strange orbits that all line up together. They have very similar shapes, very similar lengths, and they all point in the same direction. And the only way that this can really happen is if there is something very large with sufficient gravity to pull these orbits and line them up like that. As a side effect, this big object also creates some Kuiper Belt objects, some small objects out there that have orbits that are at right angles to everything else in the solar system. And we've also found 1 or 2 of these, and so this combination of unusual orbits that suggests there is something big, something that's pulling on them with the strength of its own gravity that we haven't yet found.
Look
Something
at the
very
lights.
big. I think, is it 10 times the size of Earth, the suggestion? 10 times bigger than Earth. Also 60 billion miles away from the Sun. Is it possible to guess at what it's like on this planet, given that distance from the Sun?
You can make some assumptions about the amount of light it's going to be receiving from the Sun, but it's almost impossible to get an idea of what it looks like. Based on its mass, as you said, 10 times the Earth, we can put it somewhere similar to a small Uranus or a small Neptune, so maybe an icy planet, but it could also be a giant-sized version of the Earth, so a big rocky planet. These planets are actually the most common type that we've found in the Milky Way outside the solar system, and so it's always been a bit unusual that we haven't found one, or we don't have one in the solar system. So this Planet 9 actually, in some ways, brings the solar system closer to the other planets that we found.
Fascinating stuff. Dr. David Brown, thanks very much indeed for talking to us about it.
Thank you.
In this week, on the sky has a new object, weak, faint, reddish dot, until it is observed only by astronomers, but after May 2011, it can be seen with naked eyes, in some places. The dark planet's name is Planet X, a mysterious part of our solar system. NASA has recognized the probability of its existence in 1982.
Planet X will fly around the Earth so close that the consequences for the Earth and for all humans would be catastrophic. Because Planet X is much larger than Earth, the gravitational field of Planet X will be much stronger than the Earth's gravitational field. Devastating effect of the field of Planet X. It is approaching the Earth from 2012. It will change the axis of our planet and shift the poles of our Earth. Global cooling, new ice age, and world floodings will lead to extinction to all species on the Earth's surface. 2/3 of the world population, or almost all, will die.
We are forbidden to talk about the existence of this unknown Planet X or Nibiru. Remember the name of this planet because it is approaching our planet. In 1972, Joseph Brady of University of California discovered that some unknown planet causes gravitational disturbance of the orbit of Halley's Comet. Planet X is 5 times more massive than the Earth. This information was quickly closed down, referring to the error of the research apparatus. Long experienced employees of NASA suppressed or hide the existence of Planet X. All the information about Planet X are severely protected, and not permitted to be publicized. Repeat of a worldwide flooding. The rescue team will only be drowned themselves. Information about Planet X are now concealed. There is no program, not even one documentary film produced by NASA to reveal their research about Planet X. It makes no sense for them to be silent about Planet X, and hide away their researches about such giant red planet rise above the horizon of the Earth. 2012 Planet X was seen by naked eyes all over the world, especially from the directions of the southern hemisphere, Antarctica.
It is a celestial body larger than the size of the Earth and 5 times. The strength of its gravity is so powerful that will even change and tilt the axis of our planet Earth. And it will cause polar shift, causing magnetic shift to the poles. And then our planet would collapse unprecedentedly, and lead to powerful floodings, earthquakes and volcanic eruptions, and tornadoes of unprecedented scale. In 1978, American scientists stated that in our solar system, there are not only 9 planets as officially accepted by worldwide, but in fact, there are 10 planets. Planet X moves in space at an incredibly elongated orbit, and it comes to the Earth approximately every 3,600 years. They are unable to capture Planet X in the outer space. However, in the early 1980s, after lengthy mathematical calculations, and the construction of new computer models, the existence of this giant Planet X has been proven.
In 1982, NASA agreed that there is a large planet, which they named it Planet X or Nibiru.
In 2005, American astrophysicists announced that is approximately from the distance of 1 light year of the Earth, there is a huge cosmic object. A giant planet exists. This giant Planet X is approaching our planet Earth at an enormous speed. Planet X is so very dark that with the optical telescopes and other instruments in 2005 are unable to capture it. The visual records of Planet X were only provided until 2007 by NASA, when the new heavy-duty infrared telescope was launched into the orbit. What the US astronomers see in the photographs made telescope for a long time threw them into a real shock. In the black void of outer space, we clearly see the outlines of a huge planet. Undoubtedly, this is Planet X. They also name it Nibiru.
And in the coming years, this Planet X will fly at a very close distance to our planet Earth, which is gonna be only several hundred kilometers from us. Being so close to our planet Earth, Planet X could easily disrupt the atmosphere of the Earth, causing unprecedented cyclopean tsunamis, earthquakes and a new worldwide deluge. The scientists have also found that Planet X has already destroyed another planet in the past. Many years ago in the solar system, there is a planet named Phaethon existed between Mars and Jupiter. The fragments of Phaethon is now in solar system as asteroid belt. The belt of asteroids is an ancient fragments of the planet Phaethon. Planet X encountered with the Phaethon, as it once again passed through the solar system. After sun a blow of this giant Planet X, the planet Phaethon shattered into pieces. In Slavic Vedas, Phaeton is called like Dea, which means this planet destroyed Draco, reptiles and Unuki. According to US scientists, the government simply conceal the truth from humanity, avoiding causing panic to the world.
Planet X can bring considerable damage and even casualty to all inhabitants on the Earth. Representatives from all intelligence, they
shot of what this thing looks like. Not too impressive for the time being, but that is it. As I mentioned, it's the size of a Nimitz-class aircraft carrier, and the way we're able to observe this couple ways. We use these radio telescopes. This one happens to be in Puerto Rico. Kind of interesting to see. This one you have over here, the Goldstone, is actually from the Mojave Desert of California. This thing is so incredibly effective, it can actually get an object, take a peek at an object some 10 billion miles away from planet Earth. So pretty amazing stuff. Let me show you this animation that we have from NASA. And as we pop this up, you're going to get an idea. You'll see, of course, the Earth, which is right in the middle. Then you see that line that darts right through the screen. That is the path it's going to take. It is not expected to make contact with planet Earth, but I'll tell you, if it were to, say, strike, say, the ocean, Pacific, the Atlantic, it could make an impact that would cause a 7.0 earthquake, or possibly at the same time, create a tsunami that would be up to 70 feet in height and spread out about some 60 miles from its impact zone. So pretty interesting. Good thing is, again, not expected to hit planet Earth, but it's going to make another pass a little bit closer in the year 2092. I think we're going to be okay. Maybe your grandkids might have some issues, though.
Okay.
Maybe great-grandkids.
Thanks, Reynolds.
You bet.
Wow, you're thinking way far ahead.
Long term.
Happy hour on this Friday, and joining me tonight is our chief producer Jenny Churchill and Evan McMorris Santoro, reporter and blogger for Talking Points Memo.
Hi.
Thanks for joining me, guys. Happy Friday. You know, we've spoken a few end of the world theories on the show before, especially when everyone thought that the rapture was coming, but the theories never died down, and especially because we haven't gotten to 2012 yet. And so now here's a new one that apparently people are just going crazy over online. Take a look.
Okay, look at the Earth distance, 1.812. Helios right now getting nearer to us by 300,000 miles per day. In about a week, that number is going to be 400,000 miles per day, and it's going to continue to increase. You're going to see more and more volcanoes going off. That's your sign to wake people up. You have 33 volcanoes erupting right now in the Earth, and that number is going to continue to go up as we move along in the timeline.
Vote on the news, and here's the winner. There's a huge hidden heavenly body right here in our solar system. Evidence is mounting that either a brown dwarf star or a gas giant planet is lurking at the outermost reaches of our solar system, far beyond the planet Pluto. According to the British newspaper The Independent, the object is 4 times the size of Jupiter. Experts say the presence of such a massive object could explain why a barrage of comets has been coming from that direction.
It's been almost 10 years since little Pluto was demoted from being a planet, but today scientists from the California Institute of Technology have announced that they finally have solid evidence for a planet X, a true ninth planet on the edge of our solar system.
It is believed to be far beyond the orbit of Pluto, roughly the size of Neptune, with a mass 10 times that of Earth.
There are things out there, little icy objects that are orbiting in a funny way, and nobody was quite sure why. It seemed like there might be something with gravity pulling on them, but nobody quite understood. And finally, these scientists that you talked about took a really hard look at it, did simulations, calculations, and they came up with the explanation. It probably is this giant planet.
I think I read somewhere it orbits the sun every 10,000 to 20,000 years.
Right.
Is that why no one has seen it to this point?
No, that's not why. It's because it's so dim. It's so far away that even though it's big, it's very, very dim and it'd be very tough to spot with a telescope.
I'm also fascinated at the idea that this planet could be so far out there and still our sun be the mass that is keeping it in the gravitational pull of our solar system.
Right, yeah, but no, it's true.
That's incredible. And so there was a thought at one point from scientists that when they thought that there was something beyond Pluto, that it might have been all the massive objects floating in the Kuiper Belt, but it's not.
Right, so all those objects are out there and they have a lot of mass, and originally the scientists said, look, a planet is such a crazy idea, maybe it's the Kuiper Belt itself that's pulling it on itself and making these orbits look funny.
And when we talk about the mass of this planet X, this ninth planet, being 10 times that of Earth, for those who are not scientists, what does that really mean, the mass of a planet versus Earth's mass?
Well, if you could put it on a scale, how much it would weigh.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really it. And so it's bigger, it's bulkier, it's got more heft, it's got more gravity. It's this huge elephant in the living room, except we didn't know it was there.
You mentioned that scientists haven't seen it yet because of how far away it is and how dim it is. Is there a way for them to get visual evidence?
Yes, so the biggest telescopes in the world can theoretically see this thing if they're looking in exactly the right place. And with the publication of this new paper today, they are now going to start to look in earnest.
How much further out there is this planet X than the rest of the planets in the solar system? I mean, it's
well, so Pluto we think of as the really out at the very edge, the very farthest thing that you could call a planet, even though we don't anymore. And
I'm still supporting Pluto's right to be a planet.
But this thing is 5 times further out than Pluto.
Fascinating. Is there any chance it's not a planet?
No, there's always, it's very foolish to say no chance because, you just don't know what you don't know. But the odds are looking very, very good.
60 billion miles from the sun.
Yep.
Amazing stuff. Michael Lemonick, thank you so much. Fascinating stuff.
Great, thanks.
Pluto, the sometimes planet, may be hiding a pretty huge secret. Well, 2 huge secrets, actually. Astronomers in Spain believe that hiding behind Pluto, obscured from our view, are 2 additional giant planets. Spanish scientists in Madrid discovered the potential for the 2 massive celestial bodies at the outer reaches of our solar system after studying strange patterns in the orbit of rocky objects around Pluto, including the newly discovered dwarf planet 2012 VP113. Scientists believe the first hidden world would be about 10 times the mass of Earth. They believe that this planet is moving in resonance with a bigger planet that is somewhere between Mars and Jupiter in size and would orbit 200 times Earth's distance from the Sun. But can we ever conclusively confirm the existence of these 2 planets? Well, Scott Shepard at the Carnegie Institution for Science had this to say. As there are only a few of these extremely distant objects known, it's hard to say anything definitive about the number or location of any distant planets. However, in the near future, we should have more objects to work with to help us determine the structure of the outer solar system. So there you have it. Time will tell.
Now, here's the asteroid story. An asteroid the size of the Rose Bowl, more than 1,000 feet across, fields its way toward the Earth right now. It'll come by first in 2029, and we'll see it up there. It'll be closer than our satellites, a thing the size of the Rose Bowl hurtling through the air. And then it comes again in 2036, and that's when it may get interesting. The debate over just how close it'll get is sparking some serious debate between Russian scientists and American scientists. Here's a satellite picture of the thing. This is from, well, with this and, you know, this tells you nothing. But you see it there? I don't know, that circly thing in the middle maybe? This was from 2004. It doesn't look very intimidating here. Both sides seem to agree that in 3 decades, the asteroid will fly very close to Earth. But Russian scientists warn that our planet's gravity could change the asteroid's path and set it on a collision course. NASA scientists say there is a minuscule, little bitty chance of that happening. 1 in 250,000. Better than winning the lotto, and somebody will. Joining us now, Michio Kaku. He's a theoretical physics professor at City University of New York, CUNY. He's also the author of Physics of the Future, and a new book coming out in about a month, and we'll tell you about that in about a month. So, good to see you. 2029, it flies by underneath the satellites.
That's right. Mark it on your calendar. Friday the 13th, April 2036.
Well, that's the second pass.
On the second pass, right? The first pass, like you said, it comes right underneath our satellites. You can actually see it whizzing right overhead.
Wow.
And on the second pass, it might actually be a nation buster. It'll take out Germany. It'll take out France, England.
Not England.
Right. Or the entire northeast of the United States. It'll hit with the force of 100,000 Hiroshima bombs.
Really? If it hits.
If it hits, right. It's a catastrophe beyond human comprehension. And the head of the Russian Space Agency has said that the Russian scientists should think of some ways of deflecting it or handling this menace in 2036.
What are we going to do? Shoot it with a laser?
Well, everyone thinks we'll send Bruce Willis out there with the space shuttle. But the space shuttle can't even reach outer space. We're phasing it out, and the space shuttle only spins wheels around the planet Earth. It cannot even go to deep space. We need a new booster rocket to take us out there.
Maybe China will build us one.
Maybe, and then we have to nudge it out of the way. The farther it is, the easier it is.